How a silent album robbed Spotify of $20,000? What?
I am Barack Obama. I am Barack Obama.
In 2014, a small independent band named Wolfpack wanted to go on tour, but didn't have enough money. But by using a simple trick on Spotify, they managed to land themselves with $20,000 and threatened Spotify's entire business model. Wolfpack are an indie funk band from Ann Arbor, Michigan, and are relatively well-known today. But back in 2014, they had a very modest following, and, like many up-and-coming artists, were struggling to find ways to keep everything going in terms of cash flow and earnings. Jack Stratton, the leader of Wolfpack, randomly came across an interview with the music producer Ron Fair, which sparked a light bulb moment. Stratton told Rolling Stone magazine, Fair produced Lady Marmalade and said it was only available on the soundtrack in stores. So people had to buy this $18 soundtrack to get this hit single. He goes, that was a big win. I was like, wow, he's definitely working with the format in place. What does that look like now? And we started thinking about that.
Wait, hold on. So he's saying there was a hit song, but it can only be gotten on stores from a soundtrack. So they had to buy the entire album just to get the one song. I mean, that sounds good for them to make money, but as a fan...
Ron Fair had found a way to use a clever trick to make more money off music. But when Wolfpack were starting out in the early 2010s, the musical landscape looked very different. With fewer people buying physical copies of music, Bandcamp was and is an important platform for independent artists. On this platform, you can buy a digital copy of the album, and 80% of the money goes directly to the
I'm not gonna lie, I make a solid $6 a month from Bandcamp.
Artist or label. Wolfpack found that roughly 1,000 people had bought their album on Bandcamp and provided them with an important revenue stream. But as an independent band, they found it difficult to tour. What they needed was money upfront to fund a tour. And they decided that they could finance this tour by gaming music streaming services, in particular, Spotify.
I'm listening. You have my attention.
So then simultaneously I was thinking, what is a Spotify exclusive album? What does that look like? So those two ideas converged. I posted the plan on Facebook and sent it to the band's email list, and it just spread naturally from there. We were kind of operating on the 1,000 fan hypothesis by Kevin Kelly, which you should check out, that this could definitely work if thousands of our fans do this. And
the 1,000 fan hypothesis, is that a book, bro? Hang on. The 1,000 fan hypothesis is a concept. There will be an industry made up of entirely creators with successful careers in the creative industry by having just 1,000 true fans. I'm assuming it's like, if you get 1,000 people to buy like a $10 album, you can make money.
The plan was simple. They released a new album. The first song was called Z and consisted of just over 30 seconds of silence. The second track was called ZZ, which similarly consisted of over 30 seconds of silence. The whole album was nothing but complete and utter silence. It was an album that fans were encouraged to play on a loop while they went to sleep, and it was called Sleepify. If they did this, they could go on tour. And what's more, they could provide free admission for their fans. A report from The Guardian did the math and said, so if a fan slept for 7 hours and streamed the album for the whole time, they'd play 840 tracks, generating $5.88 for Wolfpack. If you can convince 100 fans to do the same, that works out at $588 per night royalties. And that's assuming each listener only has one playable device and only streams through the night. If they let it play all through the day, Wolfpack's earnings could be more than tripled.
These motherfuckers are printing money.
Artists have tried this before, and Spotify recognizes when someone is doing this. But with Sleepify, you could play the album on full volume and still go to sleep.
That's where they got it.
The songs also had to be just over 30 seconds long, which is enough time for Spotify to consider the song to have been properly streamed and pay the artist. Sleepify was, at first, an incredibly popular album. Stratton says, it's roughly 100,000 per track listens, so 1 million total, which is a big number. The band then acted as if this was a real album. They tweeted, please don't shuffle Sleepify. I know this might come off snobbish, but we spent a lot of time on track order. Spotify was put in a difficult situation, and their first reaction was to play it cool. Then Spotify even saw the funny side. Spotify spokesperson Graham James said, this is a clever stunt, but we prefer Wolfpack's earlier albums. Sleepify seems derivative of John Cage's work. However, James may have shot himself in the foot with this comment. John Cage, who released a song in 1952 called 433, which was 4 minutes and 33 seconds of complete silence. The song was, and continues to be, on Spotify's streaming services. With this in mind, it was difficult for Spotify to argue that these weren't real songs because there was no noise. The rock band Sonic Youth also released a song called Silence in 1995, which, as the name suggests, consisted of complete silence and is available on streaming platforms. The Sleepify album presented bad news for Spotify. Wolfpack, a small funk band from Michigan, were now making headlines everywhere. Their story highlighted how difficult it was for musicians to make money and the problems with their streaming service model.
Bruh, I'm just like, damn, should I do this? I know they're probably gonna say, oh, Spotify canceled this, but like, why not? You know, just throw that shit up.
There was also the danger of copycats. Wolfpack were now featured on Billboard, and towards the end of the...
Damn, they called me out. Once I was copying it, they called me out immediately.
Cool, it read, should Wolfpack's brilliant stunt materialize into a completely free tour for fans, it could change the way independent artists regard streaming services and fan engagement. Just stream your favorite band's music or non-music while you sleep, and they could come to your city for absolutely free. This might just be the easiest way to support artists ever. Ultimately, Spotify had to put their foot down. If they didn't act now, their whole platform could be covered in silent albums. So a few weeks later, Spotify emailed Wolfpack and demanded that they take down the album. Wolfpack posted this on Facebook and said they apparently violated some of Spotify's terms. But Wolfpack was less inclined to go quietly. They released an EP of 3 songs called Official Statement, which contained the first track called #Hurt, where they explained that they were being asked to take down the album. The second track was Complete Silence, and the third track was just a random instrumental. Stratton also did an interview with Vice. When asked why Spotify asked him to take it down, he sarcastically said, I think they panicked when they realized someone was actually making money from the music. He also said, I haven't heard of any yet, but in the email asking us to take it down, they said they were receiving similar silent submissions. At the time of the interview, Sleepify had now been streamed 3.72 million times, which should have generated $18,000 for the band. And despite the album being banned from Spotify, Wolfpack were awarded $20,000 in earnings from the Sleepify album. They did free tours for fans in cities where the album was streamed the most, which were LA, San Francisco, Chicago, New York, and their hometown of Ann Arbor, Michigan.
That's fire.
Essentially, Spotify provides the artist or label with 70% of the earnings they make, so they take a minority of the money earned and not much less than Bandcamp. That being said, Stratton pointed out that it's not so much the rate of payment, but their entire business model that's the problem. In one interview, Stratton said, if Whole Foods came out with a $10 a month subscription to food, it would be a popular product as well. A year later, Jay-Z released Tidal, which offered a slightly higher rate per stream for musicians. He told the New York Times, the challenge is to get everyone to respect music again, to recognize its value. Water is free. Music is $6, but no one wants to pay for music. You should drink free water from the tap. It's a beautiful thing. And if you want to hear the most beautiful song, then support the artist. Taylor Swift.
I'd hate to say it. I don't even want to say this because I am an artist, but I also listen to a lot of music and I'm frugal. So if Spotify just all of a sudden said, oh, we're charging $20 a month, but I get paid more because people are paying more, I would still be pissed because it's like, bruh, $20 a month, cover your ears, trigger warning. You know, I have money. So like I stream music, and if I really like the artist, if they release on vinyl, I'll buy it. If they drop some merch or something and I like it, I'll buy it. That's kind of the way I like to support them. But not everybody drops vinyl. Like Drake, for example, he never drops vinyl. So I never spend a dime on Drake. He just gets my Spotify money. There's a lot of ways to support artists. I mean, Spotify should definitely increase it slowly like everything else, but not like anything crazy. Like Tidal was like, what, $20, $30 a month or something.
She'd said, music is art, and art is important and rare. Important, rare things are valuable. Valuable things should be paid for. It's my opinion that music should not be free. As we've seen since then, Taylor Swift and many others who had pulled their music have replaced their music and put it back up on streaming platforms.
Got him! Like, come on, bruh.
This tactic of releasing silent music has not been repeated since, effectively at least. But others have used the...
Bruh, do you have any idea how much money Taylor Swift is making from Spotify, bro? They took the music down maybe a couple weeks or a month, and then they realized that, oh, for some reason, we're missing out on an extra $2 million this month. Oh, I guess we should put our shit back on Spotify, bro. Come on now.
trick. In 2020, Justin Bieber released the song Yummy, and both he and his fans wanted to do whatever it took to make it a #1 hit. Justin Bieber, or a person who was running his socials, reposted something from a fan which said, quote, "Justin really wants that #1 and he's really excited about it, as he said yesterday in his live stream.
So cringe.
If you don't want to do any of this, it's totally fine. Just ignore the post." The plan was to create a playlist with the song Yummy on it, then play it constantly while you sleep. As I mentioned before, Spotify has fraud detection measures in place, so you cannot play it on mute. So they suggested playing it at a low volume instead. Added to this, the fan encouraged Bieber fans based outside of the US to use a VPN and set their location to the US when playing the tracks. But despite their best efforts, they only reached #2 on the bill.
Let's go. You love to see a black man win, bro. When Justin Bieber did that shit, and meanwhile the box was #1, this dude Justin Bieber, he's on Instagram. "Oh, guys, I really want the #1. Can you please play my music on repeat?" The box was #1. Roddy Ricch was killing it. By the way, Roddy Ricch disappeared off the face of the earth. Justin Bieber is still killing it. So like, you won, Justin, in the end. You won, bro.
In 2023, the best way to support your favorite artists is not through tricks and gimmicks. It's through buying their music, attending live shows, or purchasing merchandise. Or, failing that, streaming their music or recommending them to your friends.
Yep, straight up, that's how I do it. If they drop a vinyl, buy the vinyl. If they drop some merch, buy the merch. If they go on tour, go see a show. That's the best way you can support them. Or low-key, iTunes still exists, guys. iTunes is still there. You can still go buy the album on iTunes, right? So if you did want to support me a little extra, you can go on iTunes. The albums are there too. And then yes, of course, Bandcamp. But the thing about Bandcamp is, I feel like Bandcamp is for the more advanced, active listener. The more casual listeners out there don't really know what Bandcamp is. But maybe that's on Bandcamp. Maybe they need some better marketing. Or maybe we need like somebody like Drake or something to use Bandcamp so then everybody would know what it is. So that's probably what Justin Bieber should have been doing. Instead of trying to get people to stream his music while they're sleeping, he should have been trying to get people to go to Bandcamp and buy the music for $1. They take like 30% or something. If he got like 100,000 of his fans to buy his song for like $1 and some change, easy 6 figures, bro. Easy. But yeah, with that being said, my music is available on all streaming platforms, and I got some vinyls coming out soon. l.dre on all platforms.
I am Barack Obama. I am Barack Obama.